Vision of these people, of people long ago with little in the way of resources to make the biggest decision of their lives, to basically jump off a cliff into the unknown. That is, I mean, as much as I've talked about this and lived with this for a very long time, you know, I said it would be in high school and dating if it were a human being, I still get chills just the very thought of what they had to have gone through just to make that leap of faith. If you think about what these people did, this is what they ultimately were able to do. They were able to do what a president of the United States was not able to do, what Abraham Lincoln himself was not able to do. They were able to do what the Emancipation Proclamation was not able to do. They were able to do what both houses of Congress could not or would not do. They were able to do what the powers that be in the South would not or could not do. They freed themselves. They did not look to others to free them. They did not look to any leader. In fact, many of them, in the course of leaving, had to defy their own leaders just to make the decision to leave. Many of the leaders said, stay here. This is the land of the forefathers. You need to stay here. Things will get better eventually. These people didn't believe that. They knew in their hearts that there had to be something better for them. I want you to think back, all of us, to the moment of departure, which had to have occurred in all of our backgrounds, merely for us to be on this soil, in this place, at this moment. And that is a moment when a young person has made the decision that I cannot stay here any longer. Perhaps there are too many of us gathered together in this one place, too many of us concentrated in this one place. Our work is devalued and our very lives are devalued. Perhaps I will fare better somewhere else. And they've made this difficult decision to leave. And they have to look into the eye of the person who raised them, their mother, their father, their grandparents, their great aunt, whomever it might have been, and look into the eye of that person and not know if they would ever see them again. Remember, there was no Skype. There was no email. There were no cell phones. There was not even reliable telephone service, long-distance telephone service at that time. They truly, wherever they happened to have been, whether they were across the Atlantic or whether they were in Mississippi, they had to look into the eye of this person and truly not know if they would ever see them again. And that person who could not make the crossing with them had to look into the eye of this young person who felt that they had to go, that they could not stay any longer. And they didn't know if they would ever see them alive again either, if they would ever live to see this person that they had raised again. And the next time that this young person who was about to leave might hear anything of this person who had raised them would be perhaps from a telegram saying that your father has passed away, or your mother is very ill, you must return quickly if you're to see her alive. That is the ultimate sacrifice, because often people who do this any kind of migration, any kind of journey such as this, they're in some ways not doing it for themselves, because it's almost in some ways too late for them, because they've already suffered whatever the indignities and lack of nutrition or of education, whatever it might have been, but it might be better for the children and the grandchildren and the unseen great-grandchildren, meaning us. And that says to me that we all in some ways owe a debt to someone who has made this great sacrifice as a people in this book, and that means that our lives have got to mean something. And it means that we have great strength within us, strength that we may not even know, strength that is tapped within us. They may not have talked about it, but they left us the lessons inside of us, not by what they said, but by their actions. And I want to close with the words of Richard Wright, who was one of the people who made this migration, who jumped off a cliff into the unknown, who left Mississippi for Chicago. And it's his words that are the inspiration for the title of this book. And the words of Richard Wright really speak to anyone, all of us even today, who may be facing a difficult journey, a difficult decision, whatever it might be. Because sometimes a journey is not geographic, it's emotional, it's spiritual, it's psychological. And this is what he said. I was leaving the South to fling myself into the unknown. I was taking a part of the South to transplant in alien soil, to see if it could grow differently, if it could drink of new and cool rains, bend in strange winds, respond to the warmth of other suns, and perhaps to bloom. I leave you with those words and with the idea that in some ways I've just spent so much time on this topic and on that the Son was always within these people. They were the Son, and they have left